friends, families, parents, students, faculty, members of the Board of Trustees, and members of the graduating class of 2015, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 18th Annual Commencement Ceremonies of the Vermont Common School. I would ask that you please turn off your cell phones at this time. It is our tradition to start the ceremonies with a moment of silence, and then thank you. I would now like to introduce our head of school, Dr. Dexter Mahaffey.
Good morning. In following our tradition, the first part of our program will be signing the school register, excuse me, by the faculty and students. Dean of Students Chance Cardamom Newstub will read the names of fellow faculty and graduates, followed by the rolls of student signers.
So please step forward and sign the register when I call your name. Christy Collar Beveridge, Jenna Bissett, Linda Bursell, Mark Klein Lucy, Jennifer Cohen, Adriana Isabel Comtois, Juan Manuel Garcia Urbina, Peter Goff, Mary Hamilton, Mark Keegan, Steve Lausier, Dexter Mahaffey, Bradley Materik, Heather Moore, Benjamin Patrick, Jessica Redmond, Ari Shapiro Miller, Sarah Soul, Jill Strawbridge, Jasmine Walker, Benjamin Wong, Hua Chung, and Chance Cardamom Newstub. You may be seated. Thank you. I'll now call up the graduating seniors. Jamie Benson, Griffin Cannon, Nora Hill, Eli Hulse, Grace Seeley, McCall Udine. And now for the rest of the students, please remember there are multiple pages to sign on. Camille Barch, Emma Bell, Hani Bortsfield, Nick Bortsfield, Zach Bostwick, Stefan Brecker, Xavier Burgett Foster, Graham Byers, Sky Caldwell Roy, Jordan Cannon, Elliot Carey, Aiden Daniels, Kate Darrow, Jacob Decatur, Emma Dixon, Alex Dukach, Camly Faur, Galen Fasty, Xavier Ferris, Zelda Ferris, Seth Fisher Olvera, Matthew Furch, Jalen Gibbs, Jasper Goldman, Eloise Guyette, Lena Hansen, Raz Hansen, Henry Harder, Mason Hill, Eli Hines, Zach Hines, Megan Hosmer, Lauren Howe, Anna Hulse, Eliza Jackson, Nick Jennings, Rainer Kannenstein, Issa Kaplan, Sean Kerr, Kaylee Cronick, Anna Kusaro-Lair, Jill Lamberson, Macklin Lansbury, Alex Lasker, Anna Leffler, Namaya Lamal, Ada Liu, Darian Lopez, Jake Mackey, Ben Maxim. It is okay to come up through the middle aisle if you prefer. Nick Montaigne, Nina Montaigne, Katya Marsh, Bryn Mills, Caleb Morehouse, Hans Nettie, Fiona Oldham, Jess Oldham, Caleb Oliveira, Ethan Osgood, Max Parado, Lincoln Pierce, Harry Raddick, Matt Rambone, Lexi Ratkovitz, Beckett Richardson, Tess Ruddy, Phoebe Sarandos, Nick Sears, Auburn Sendra, Natalie Senior, Ryan Senior, Will Shane, Mika Schumann, Amira Silverman, Liam Strobeck, Milo Trabulsi, Kent Vaccaro, Sabi Ward, Danny Watson, Jake Weisgold, Owen Williams, and Josh Wolfstein.
Here at Vermont Commons School, we award bronze, silver, and gold turtles at graduation according to years of attendance. A gold turtle for students who have spent 6 years with us at VCS, a silver turtle for 4 years with us, and a bronze turtle for 3 or fewer years. The 7th graders will now present the seniors with their turtles. Please come up when I call your name. Will Jess and Kent present a silver turtle to Jamie Benson? Will Sabi present a green turtle to Griffin Cannon? Will Lena present a golden turtle to Nora Hill? Will Seth and Milo present a silver turtle to Eli Hulse? Will Tess present a golden turtle to Grace Seeley? And will Phoebe present a golden turtle to McCall Udine? Also at this time, I am pleased to award this special turtle to our beloved science teaching intern for the 2014-15 year, Lucas Mountfinette. Lucas, please come forward to receive your turtle. Our thanks. Our thanks and our best wishes for your future teaching career. Thank you, Owen.
It is our pleasure to now confer the departmental awards. One note before we start. This ceremony, by tradition, has always included the entire student body in attendance, and therefore, unlike at other graduations where only seniors receive awards, any student in any grade may receive one of these honors. Language arts will be given by Jennifer Cohen, the Mathematics Award by Jessica Redman, the Science Award by Peter Goff, the Social Studies Award by Mark Klein-Lucy, the World Languages Award by Hua Sheng and Juan Garcia Urbina, the Visual Arts Award by Ben Patrick, the Encounter Week Award by Bradley Maderick, and the Research and Service Award by Mark Klein-Lucy. Jennifer.
The faculty presents the Award for Distinguished Achievement in Language Arts to a Vermont Commons School student who has demonstrated a passion for and a dedication to reading and writing. For McCall Udine, this passion manifests itself through thoughtful responses to literature, careful observations and feedback to her peers, and exceptional analytical and creative writing. McCall's analysis this year of Chuck Palahniuk's work and her collection of memoirs demonstrate her capacity for sophisticated, beautiful writing. In addition, every day, McCall took responsibility for creating community in our classroom. It began in the summer when I emailed the seniors asking about their hopes for the year. McCall gathered ideas from all her classmates and thoughtfully replied. Throughout the year, she recommended and brought in texts to share and always thought ahead, leading through her enthusiasm for the curriculum and through her own intellectual wrestling. One beautiful fall morning, we decided to have class outside. Without being asked, McCall hurried to Jasmine's office and grabbed a portable whiteboard so that she could write out the thesis statements we were editing. As we all tossed out new ways of conveying the ideas, McCall was engrossed, on fire. She wrote, she crossed out, she paused and listened. She took in more ideas that were hurled at her, wrote again, looked to the class for approval, crossed out some more. Finally, she stopped. Everyone was happy. Success. Was this really the same shy girl I remember from 7th grade? McCall, it has been a beautiful journey, and I am honored to have been your teacher along the way. Your growth in so many areas has been inspiring to other students and encouraging to the faculty. So we are proud to present you with the 2015 Award for Distinguished Achievement in Language Arts.
Mathematics at the Vermont Commons School is built on the foundations of arithmetic, geometry, number theory, data analysis, and problem solving. The emphasis is not simply on conquering different arithmetic computations, but on discovering patterns in our environment and describing them in a new language, not on memorizing and using formulas, but on constructing and applying general principles through observation and experimentation. To achieve mathematical fluency, students must be willing to struggle with a problem, use their intuition, persevere through many attempts at a model, and effectively communicate their ideas to others. The Distinguished Achievement Award in Mathematics is given to the student who most consistently exemplifies these principles. Calculus at VCS is taught in an investigative way, with students deriving and discovering almost every new theorem and concept on their own. This year's recipient of the Math Award truly enjoyed this method. His desire to put the pieces together himself and to persevere when the first 16 ideas failed is the mark of a true mathematician. Although he revels in sharing ideas with his peers and debating the merits of each perspective, he always wants to find the punchline to each new idea with his own intellect. Anytime the class went off on a tangent from the planned course content, he was quick to whip out the iPad and regale the group with graphs, websites, and research to prove or disprove a point. This student has also led the charge to bring Calculus 2 to Vermont Commons next year. He eloquently represented his classmates and himself with the reasons why we should offer that particular class over several other options. On the Math League bus, he quickly led an impromptu session on conic sections. This generosity with knowledge is exactly what we want emulated by all math students. It is with great joy that the math department presents this year's award for Distinctive Achievement in Mathematics to Galen Fasty. We look forward to your continued energy and leadership as a math student next year. Congratulations, Galen. Let me give you your letter, and that's your present letter. Yeah.
The goal of the Vermont Common Schools science program is to produce naturalists. A naturalist is a scientist who understands the environment and one's place within that system. A naturalist well trained in the scientific method will be able to identify the truly important keystone questions within a particular system, answer them thoughtfully, and then act upon that new knowledge. Each year, the science department recognizes one student who has consistently excelled academically and who embodies the naturalist tradition. I've always objected to the label nerd, while embracing the label geek. I describe a nerd as someone who has an overriding passion for something and doesn't realize how socially inept they are. A geek, on the other hand, have that overriding passion for something, but are fully aware of how socially inept they are. Science is a collaborative pursuit of answers about the nature of the universe, and it is the social component of that pursuit which is frequently the hardest to master. A quote from Albert Einstein: "Most people say that it is intellect which makes the great scientist. They're wrong, it's character." As this geek has matured, she has honed her already formidable intellect while seizing every opportunity to give back to the science department as a role model and active leader. Therefore, I bestow upon McCall the title of Uber Geek. Hold on, stay there. I was very lucky to have the opportunity to work with Lucas this year as a student teacher. I was equally lucky to have had the opportunity to round out McCall's VCS science career as a teaching assistant in the second semester. In an anonymous class evaluation, one of the ninth graders McCall worked with said, quote, "She gave us all a good role model that we as freshmen could look up to for years to come." Mark and I will also remember her as a benchmark for all future VCS science students, a standard of discipline, creativity, and collaboration that is a challenge to the whole VCS community. The Science Department is honored to present McCall Udine with the Distinguished Achievement in Science Award.
Each year, as the Social Studies Department gathers to select the recipient of our Distinguished Achievement Award, the question we ask ourselves is, who amongst the students has most embodied and exemplified a true love of the social studies? This does not necessarily mean who has the highest grade, but rather who has a genuine and irrepressible intellectual curiosity about history, current events, politics, economics, ethics, and philosophy. Who loves to question, think, and learn? This year, the Social Studies Award goes to a student whose list of achievements and contributions is so long that it leaves me little room to wax poetic. So I'll get right to it. She is one of the hardest working students I have known in my years at Vermont Common School. Given the opportunity to do more, go further, push harder, she is always the first to step up. Jump into a 2-on-2 in-class debate with only 15 minutes to prepare when a classmate did not show up to school? Of course. Create a digital presentation to share her research in addition to a class presentation? Without a doubt. Do the AP Prep contract honors that requires a 2-page essay every week, but write 3 pages instead? Obviously. Write a 20-page research paper comparing British to French industrialization when only 15 pages are required, and then decide that the information on the internet and in books is not possibly enough, so call professional historians around the country to interview them? Nothing less would suffice. And in all of her free time, co-organized the largest and most successful high school-based model United Nations conference in northwestern Vermont, while also helping to shape and establish the school's first global citizen certificate of concentration? Yep. This award has been a long time coming. It is my deep honor and pleasure to give the 2015 Award for Distinguished Achievement in Social Studies to Camille Bartsch.
The award for Distinguished Achievement in World Language Chinese recognizes a student who has demonstrated a passion for the language over the year by consistently striving for expanded fluency and comprehension while taking advantage of all opportunities to apply new skills and vocabulary. The recipient of this award is someone who has consistently been motivated and to master all 4 language skills despite the significant challenge in learning Chinese characters. Through her persistent effort to master all the words she came across, she became the first student in her class to be able to read graded readers written at the 300-word level on her own. As a contract honors student, she showed great discipline as well as abilities to learn on her own. She finished reading 3 300-word novels and 1 particularly challenging 500-word novel this year. Through independent reading, her language proficiency greatly improved. Her attention to details and her command of the syntax made her work stand out in their accuracy and the use of higher-level grammar, as well as vocabulary. She practiced speaking Chinese outside the class with various conversational partners. She took on various jobs, such as taking notes for the class. She also completed a high-quality multimedia project that demonstrated her proficiency in writing and speaking. Her pronunciation of the 4 tones is almost impeccable for an intermediate-level student, and her writing showed a natural flow and with literary quality. Her passion for mastering Chinese shines through, and her efforts go above and beyond the usual requirements. The focus, intensity, and quality of her work put her in line with dedicated college students. It has been a great pleasure for the world language faculty to see her efforts flourish this year. Her veracity for reading and her swift sailing through the reading levels have shown us what is possible. In this sense, she has paved the way for other students and shed light on the long-term direction of our program. We are grateful for her contribution. The faculty is proud to present the 2015 Distinguished Achievement Award in World Language Chinese to Jordan Cannon.
The award for the Distinguished Achievement in World Languages. Spanish recognizes the student who has demonstrated a passion for the language over the year by consistently striving for expanded fluency and comprehensions while taking advantage of all of the opportunities to apply new skills and vocabulary. This year, the Spanish department implemented a teaching methodology that was new for everyone. This student embraced it right away. He would quickly offer suggestions for scenarios and characters, and when the moment to do written exercises came, he would be eager to start them. At the end of the class, he would thank me with a genuine expressions, making my job as an educator even more rewarding. This enthusiasm for learning Spanish didn't stop there. He also wove his personal interest into class contents, and he would independently research music, art, costumes, and current events in Spanish-speaking countries. In the same way, he constantly approached me with ideas for making class activities even richer. Still, Graham was humble. Despite the fact that he was going above and beyond, he would still come to me and ask for honest feedback about his pronunciation of the Spanish R, the conjugation of future tenses in Spanish, present and past, the spelling of complicated words. In his eyes, you could see that he was not expecting anything else but the sole satisfaction of knowing that he was learning. Moreover, he's a collaborative learner and a natural teacher who values the ideas and opinions of others, and he uses these skills to assist his peers in their learning. Countless times, while I was walking around the classroom, I would hear Graham help his peers not just to figure out the answers by themselves, but rather practicing with them until truly mastering the topic at hand. In a total cooperative learning environment, it was a marvelous sight. Finally, I also want to thank him for being my teacher. This year, for World Language Day, Graham spent countless hours creating, planning, and editing the class project. In the process, I asked him to teach me how to do it. Graham patiently showed me how to properly set up filming lights and other ins and outs of video editing. The best was that he did all this without making me feel like an old guy who didn't understand anything about videos and technology. It pleases me to grant the 2015 award for Distinguished Achievement in Spanish to Graham Byers. Hey, Graham. I think you got this. Get this one.
Distinguished Achievement in Visual Arts 2015. We ran out of drawing pencils this year, and artists scrambled every day to pick up pencils from the back cabinets, recesses of the squalor we call the storage room, and in the collective atlas jars where the misfit implements of mediums are returned to. Artists used razor blades to sharpen their found pencils, and I would often have to remind them to return their X-Acto knives to the safe homes of the wooden holsters, lest they were found, again, in the random corridors of our school. I like for there to be a relative uncertainty in the studio, a welcoming mishappening in searches for new mediums, so that we inherit a world with new eyes. Such an inheritance for these new visions is an important piece in the studio program at Vermont Commons School. We do not want for the artist to do something like everyone else, to paint that distant portrait or say the fuzzy friend and feather drawing you see so often advertised in your Dick Blick catalog. Rather, the artists are real, moving, questioning, and bringing meaning to life by finding answers while stumbling on loose sidewalks. The faculty like for the artists to find this meaning on their own and, as such, secure a positive sense of autonomy and personal identity. There is one such artist that has courageously followed these visions of the studio program, and the faculty would like to recognize her for her dedication and intellectual propensity. Nemaya Lamol not only found a pencil every day before any other artist, but worked on her projects before, during, and after classes. She also brought her artistic talents to other arenas of academia, whether it was the portrait of Hester Prynne for Jennifer Cohen's class or composing a scientific drawing for Pete Goff. Her acting abilities and dedication to our school play, Our Town, is yet another example of how Nemaya shines creatively at our school. And like Emily Webb, the character Nemaya played, She questions everything creatively every day, always recognizing the uncertainty around her, and by doing so, understands the world better. There is nothing disingenuous about her. She is authentic, humble, and reflective. It inspires confidence in me to see an artist lend her creative visions to every arena of our school. I am proud of her self-portrait in the hallway, the eyes reworked 100 times over, the shadows black, ripping the paper, and a sense of depth only obtained by the layering of graphite over the course of many days. I know that Namaya will continue to examine these layers and explore these visions so that the world will become a better and more beautiful place to exist in. It is with honor that I bestow the 2015 Award for Distinguished Achievement in Visual Arts to Namaya Lamont.
This is the first award I've presented at VCS, so I'm very excited. The goals of the Vermont Commons Encounter Week program include providing students with a physically and emotionally safe environment in which they feel free to step out of their comfort zones and challenge themselves physically, mentally, and socially, leading to growth in self-awareness, self-confidence, and self-reliance. Through immersing students in diverse natural and cultural landscapes and providing opportunities to perform service, Encounter Weeks instill students with a sense of place, environmental stewardship, and global citizenship. On every trip, students have the chance to practice and develop the human skills of communication, teamwork, and leadership. This year, the student who most enthusiastically took up the goals of the Encounter Week program and far exceeded all of our expectations is Anna Leffler. In beginning to write this letter, the two words that came to mind when I thought of Anna were competent and trustworthy. And these are two qualities that have served her very well as both a participant and a student leader on her Encounter Weeks this year. On the Adirondacks canoeing trip with Mark Klein-Lucy and Steve Lausier last fall, Anna was involved in all aspects of planning and executing a safe and enjoyable paddling adventure. She worked together seamlessly with her co-student leader and with the faculty leaders on the trip. And she maintained the consistently positive and helpful attitude for which she has become well known on our Encounter Weeks. She played an especially key role in making sure that the setup and breakdown of camp happened smoothly and efficiently each day, a process that can take a very long time if not well managed. While helping to navigate the route to Montreal on her winter trip with Ben Patrick and Adriana Comtois, Anna was more reliable with her directions than a GPS and was one of the few who knew the difference between à l'est and à l'ouest. She kept everyone entertained on the long drive by sparking conversation, humor, and inclusive fun, and she was actually able to find music on the radio that everyone was happy listening to. She even made the mean man at the border crossing smile. I think that's the only place where you find mean Canadians is at the border. During the trip, Anna served as an outstanding liaison between the students and the leaders, for example, by reminding the faculty leaders that their students are teenagers who need to eat regularly in order to avoid bouts of faintness and whining. On her spring trip, also with Ben and Adriana, the group stayed at Bascom Lodge on the top of Mount Greylock in Massachusetts, where Anna helped to cook every meal, made sure they had ice cream for every dessert, and documented the entire trip with hundreds of photographs, including shots of fellow students posing like the Degas ballerina at the Clark Art Institute and mesmerized by the designs of Sol DeWitt at the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art. I do not believe that any Encounter Week leader has ever heard a complaint from Anna, not even after an unsuccessful 2-hour search through the streets of Montreal in sub-zero weather to find hot chocolate. And there were certainly no complaints from the Vermont Commons faculty and staff when we decided to present Anna with this prestigious award. Congratulations, Anna, and happy trails. And I just want to say before I give this gift, I colluded with your mom in finding a gear item that would be truly useful. So I hope you enjoy this.
Thank you.
The Distinguished Achievement in Research and Service, 2015. The mission of the Research and Service Program is to go beyond the traditional disciplines, go beyond the classroom walls, and connect learning to community engagement and environmental stewardship in a fun, hands-on, and rewarding way. In the Research and Service class, The Persistence of Memory, students worked every week at the residence at Shelburne Bay to work with senior citizens living with Alzheimer's disease. Students heard stories of being an operator in Denver during World War II, fighting in the Korean War, and being a nurse in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in West Virginia. Our students brought in art projects, board games, and puzzles to help spark creative interest. Residents were energized and comforted by the creative and agile minds of adolescents, and the nurses and caregivers at Shelburne Bay often remarked on how the residents looked forward to these students' weekly visits. Giving comfort to the elderly suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's is no easy task. You need to find routes of communication that are not the ordinary. The vernacular here needs to be poetic, moving, and undefined. It is improvisation at its finest, listening and creating stories from the past with others who have lost track of their lives' chapters and footnotes. It takes courage and compassion to engage in these conversations. All of our students worked hard in developing relationships with the residents at Shelburne Bay. But there is one student who needs to be recognized for his persistence and dedication in creating conversations and a source of comfort for a resident. Eli Hines arrived to the room where we worked every day, every week, with board games in hand, replicas of historical planes to play with, and copies of historical artwork to share with his favorite resident, Jack. There was always a smile on Jack's face when Eli was there, engaging in stories from the past, helping Jack play board games, and lending small toy planes as a reminder to our visit the following week. Eli sparked the admiration of other residents too, and his care, compassion, and conversation was contagious, leading other students to engage with the residents around them. He made the entire class a more interactive, engaging, and fun place to be. Eli embraces the most important element in this particular research and service class, the ability to compassionately provide care for those suffering from mental illness. He did so every week, fearlessly, with a smile on his face, making Jack's life better. And by doing so, he made the world better. It is with pleasure that we give this year's Research and Service Award to Eli Hines. Bravo, my friend.
Thank you. I'll take this.
Yeah, you can take that. Might as well.
The George and Pamela Starbuck Award, voted by the faculty each year, will be given by Chance Cardamom Newstub. The Founders Alumni Award, voted on by the faculty and alum community, will be read by Peter Goff and given by co-founder of Vermont Common School, former headmaster Dr. Robert Skiff. Chance.
Since the Vermont Common School opened in 1997, we have seen students whose energy, leadership, and kindness set them apart. Each year, we recognize one of them with the George and Pamela Starbuck Award for Outstanding Contribution to the Community. George and Pamela Starbuck are the previous owners of the building that houses our community, and they continue to actively support the development of the school. It is their ongoing commitment, enthusiasm, and spirit of generosity for Vermont Common School that have provided the model for this award. This year, we would like to recognize a student who has shown the same commitment, enthusiasm, and spirit of generosity. I could list dozens of reasons why Jamie Benson is this year's recipient of the Starbucks Award. His kindness and service to others is unsurpassed in recent memory, but I really just need to tell you this one story. This happened just last week, Thursday, in fact, the first day of exams and the day the seniors gave their project presentations. This time of year can get pretty crazy in a school, and one manifestation of that is the appearance of our school kitchen at the end of the day. I feel responsible for the kitchen area, as that is the area that my cleaning group is charged with. The problem is that the cleaning groups don't happen during exam days. All day it pained me to know that the kitchen was filling with stacks of dirty dishes from the senior 7th grade lunch, that there were food scraps on the floor, that the compost was overflowing, and I had no time to do anything about it. It was a little after 4:30 when I got back from dropping the ultimate team at practice. I was filled with angst as I approached the kitchen. I was already late to get home to get dinner on the table for the kids, but I agonized over whether it was worth making a 5-minute dent in the worst of the kitchen mess. But then, as I came down the stairs and round on the corner, I heard the unmistakable clink of dishes being washed. I knew who it was before I saw him. There's only one person who would be cleaning the kitchen alone at the end of the day, Jamie Benson. Of course it was him. Jamie had given his senior project presentation earlier in the day, meaning that he was done. He had completed the very last academic task of high school, and here he was, cleaning the mountains of mess, alone, with a smile on his face. And no, he wasn't waiting for a ride. He has a car. He could have been out celebrating, doing whatever he wanted, but he was here. I could have cried. In fact, a tear came to my eye. Jamie had once again renewed my faith in the goodness of humanity. I gave him a hug and left him merrily loading the dishwasher. Jamie reminds me that every little thing we do matters. Every moment is an opportunity for kindness and compassion. And Jamie, you have done so many little things, and not so little, in your 4 years here. It brings me great joy to present to you this year's Starbucks Award.
Yeah. Hi, Emily, you want to come on up? You're going to go on that side. So this is Emily Alger. Emily's one of our original island kids. Emily brought to VCS her homegrown passion for the natural world, and just as importantly, her personal connection to her community was and is as genuine as it was contagious. When she arrived, she joined the fledgling VCS volleyball team and was one of a dedicated group of students who inspired us to turn a PE offering into something more and what it is today. Since graduating from VCS and the University of Vermont with her degree in environmental studies, Emily has become the naturalist that is the goal of our science department and the community leader that is the goal of our RNS program. In her nomination letter, fellow alum Naomi Heindel wrote, quote, "Emily embodies the mission of VCS, especially the part about being an engaged ecological citizen, in a very local, place-based way. As the program director for the South Hero Land Trust, a position she's held since 2009, Emily translates her deep commitment to the Champlain Islands into tangible actions to conserve its farming landscape, heritage, culture, and economy. Her work includes engaging with agricultural communities, growing the local food movement on the islands, and promoting community gathering spaces and gardens, especially for kids." Those of us who were lucky enough to learn with Emily while she was a student, trailmate, and teammate understand how deserving she is of this recognition. Those of you who hope to follow in her footsteps should take a second and introduce yourself to this remarkable alum. Congratulations, Emily, on an award richly deserved.
Each year, the graduating class chooses from among its own to speak at this point in the ceremony. It is my great pleasure to introduce Nora Hill and McCall Udine.
Seven is an intriguing number. There are the 7 days of the week, 7 colors of the rainbow, and 7 wonders of the world. Throughout history, the mystique of the number 7 has reemerged time and time again. The Chinese consider 7 to be a lucky number, and in ancient Irish lore, the number 7 is tied to the supernatural. With the exception of the 7 dwarves, the most powerful group of 7 we have ever encountered is this graduating class. We are a diverse group of individuals, each unique unto ourselves, connected by the passion we share for exploring and engaging the world around us. Each of us has changed the culture of the Vermont Common School by engaging with the world. Just 6 years ago, 7 seventh grade kids walked through the Vermont Commons doors for the first time. We were awkward, embarrassing, and thoroughly restless. Little did we realize at the time that we would be adopted into the Vermont Commons community and that we would become thoroughly embraced in the flying turtle's nest. We would discover a new family, develop new passions, and truly find ourselves, not only as individuals, but also as a group. This was not a swift transition, mind you. It was filled with many missteps, trials, and tribulations. In the fall of 8th grade, we departed on our first ever class encounter week. We traveled to the Adirondack Mountains, plopped giddily into our canoes, and glided into the complex waterways of the old mountain range. Despite being encompassed by the beautiful misty mornings and painted autumn foliage, most of our poor class was traumatized by Nora and my cacophonous rendition of Hakuna Matata over and over and over again.
Our freshman year, we came to know each other in the first months by biking over 250 miles around Lake Champlain. Like every other class that has completed this Vermont Commons rite of passage, we had a few bumps along the way. One group got so lost that a search and rescue team was nearly alerted. While one group struggled, one class made a reputation for himself on the trip. On the first night of that encounter week, he slept walk out of his tent and toward the lake while searching for his ever-elusive boat. Jamie also developed an alter ego for when he was pushed to his limits. He became robotic, staring ahead, and when talked to, he could only reply, "Jamie is not here right now. I am in biker mode."
Our sophomore year, we were graced with Eli's adoration of Argyle sweaters and athletic shorts, as well as Jamie's obsession with puns of all shapes and sizes. Thankfully, both Eli's fashion sense and Jamie's puns have improved since. In our junior year, Grace stepped into her role as the mother of our family. She fostered love and appreciation and brought us all closer together. It was also in this year that we discovered the game of diplomacy in global class. In reality, we were not particularly diplomatic about it. In fact, while establishing political boundaries, Nora here stabbed 5 fellow seniors in the back.
In all seriousness, here we find ourselves, once again 7, about to walk out the doors. Griffin joined our little family this year and became a loving brother to us all. He instantly fit with our class' first thirst for debate and brought his own vast knowledge of anything and everything historical. Due to the genuine nature of Griffin's memoirs and his authentic ability to share his story, we were able to see him in a new and brighter light, a light that he has graciously shared with our community and the world in many ways. Griffin's passion for the environment and willingness to instigate change has already made a difference. He is willing to share this commitment with our students and faculty, as well as with the greater Vermont community. We are confident that the friends that he will make next year at Notre Dame will recognize his enviable integrity and playful spirit, just as we have.
Jamie, who has always been a helping hand and smiling face of Vermont Commons, has led us this year as one of the finest student body presidents that our school has ever seen. Jamie is genuine in all of his actions. He has led the school to a better tech policy and has represented the student's voice. It is his kindness and generosity, among other things, that have left his mark on our community. Jamie has used his selfless nature to better our greater community by truly living the Vermont Commons mission. Due to his love of helping others, combined with his passion for the sciences, Jamie has been working toward his wilderness EMT certification and will volunteer as an EMT in the coming months. As he joins a neuroscience research lab in the fall, he will surely continue to share his kind heart and good-natured wit.
Over the past 6 years, Adrian has been a steadfast friend. He has shared with us his passion for robotics. He has instilled in us an enthusiasm for technology, not only by bequeathing his vigor to younger students, but also by, for example, installing interactive lights for a senior art project. He began work on several of his own projects and has shared them with the community. Take his hand-built electric bike, for instance. Always humble and eschewing recognition, Adrian has been curious and engaged with technology himself. But this year, he left it as his legacy. Adrian brings an ingenuity and authentic joy that is undeniable, not only within the Vermont Commons walls, but also at MIT robotic competitions and in every makerspace he enters. He will move on in the coming months to impress his classmates at RPI with his inquisitiveness and all-encompassing expertise.
Grace embodies the meaning of empathy. Although she is renowned as an incredibly knowledgeable history buff, we know that this curiosity and enthusiasm stems from her ability to care profoundly for humanity. When faced with the conflicts of our modern day, Grace would rather lead proactive change than wallow in insignificance. This gift is what has led her to become interested in Amnesty International, a global movement for international human rights. For as long as we have known her, Grace has valued volunteer and humanitarian work. Her continued wisdom, patience, and empathy have resulted in her assumption of a motherly role in our community. 7th graders and seniors alike know that she is always there to listen and to offer sage advice. It is this ability that she will be remembered most for. Next year at Skidmore College, we have no doubt that Grace will continue to fight for human rights, will remain a counselor and mentor for her peers, and will demonstrate her perseverance and determination to those around her.
Eli's ability to lead and influence those around him distinguishes him above all else. On encounter weeks, both peers and faculty alike depend on him. And on sports teams, he is always either the official or unofficial leader. In the past 5 years, Eli has become a role model to many younger students. He generously shares his superior mathematical mind with any interested students. He walks with confidence, poise, and purpose. Although not yet 18, Eli has launched a successful business and has immersed himself in several academic and professional environments. This professionalism is exemplified by his ability to shine when working with an attorney and his ability to guide the Ultimate Team to the best season they have had in years. Eli has many titles at school: athlete, mathlete, fashion guru, and leader. In August, when he joins the NYU Stern School of Business, Eli will, without a doubt, continue to establish himself as an academic and leader.
I have learned in my many years of Vermont Commons that the matter of altruism within the animal kingdom is fiercely debated. Many believe that genuine, unadulterated altruism does not exist. That being said, I truly believe that Nora defies the laws of nature and epitomizes both altruism and compassion. Nora, unlike anyone I've ever known, continually strives to better those around her. Whether in the science lab or on the volleyball court, Nora is driven to make a change in the world, both on a personal and a global level. Nora's bubbly personality defines her and makes her approachable and welcoming. Her ongoing work in a graduate-level animal science lab is admirable, and she has certainly earned the naturalist certificate for which she has worked so diligently. I am absolutely certain that this fall at Grinnell College, Nora will shine, using her infectious smile and loyal nature to connect with those around her.
McCall is a force to be reckoned with. Unlike many people I have encountered, she has an internal drive that allows her to accomplish what others would deem too difficult or impossible. She has an inner intensity that allows her to go after what she wants with great zeal, whether on the volleyball court, in the classroom, or at a courthouse. She commits herself to all aspects of her life. She is the most dedicated student, tenacious athlete, and loyal and devoted friend. In particular, this year McCall has shared her many gifts with the Vermont Commons community. Second-year captaining the volleyball team, teaching classes in both science and Spanish to younger students, as well as modeling what a determined young woman can do. She has truly set a standard in the community. McCall has graced us with her many faceted talents and truly become a teacher, mentor, and standard of excellence at the Vermont Commons School. I'm confident that McCall will take this standard of excellence to Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania and will not only wow the faculty, but the students as well.
Our little family of 7 has, in many ways, grown up at Vermont Commons. And while some changes have been more profound than others, no one individual is leaving as he or she arrived. We move on to leave room for the next generation of leaders. And while we are thrilled to see what the future holds, let us take a moment to pause and appreciate our accomplishments. In many ways, we have embodied the Vermont Commons mission of engaging with the world. We hope that we have paved roads for future generations, but that, like us, they will also break out on their own to build on the foundation that we have laid. We set forth a challenge to the subsequent senior classes to follow in our footsteps and become involved in the world. Find what you love and share it with our community. Practice and participate not only within these walls, but also with greater society. It is in these moments of fervor that you will find yourselves as individuals. And while we scatter going off to start our real lives, we will always remember this family, these moments, and will draw on our experiences here and from each other.
As a reminder to all of us and a challenge for future seniors, care deeply about what you do. Apathy is the antithesis of progress and the largest roadblock in life. Confront these next years with vitality and vigor, and always remember that yes, you are an individual, whole unto yourself, but you are also part of a family. We started as 7, and we are leaving as 7, but this isn't the end by any means. We are a group of empowered people, and rest is not our natural state of being. And while we go off on our own adventures, we know that we could not have accomplished what we have without the opportunities and support provided by the Vermont Commons School. So thank you, VCS, for all you have done for each and every one of us, for being with us through it all, for encouraging and reveling in our odd passions, but most of all, thank you for bringing us all together.
Thank you so much, Nora and McCall. Before I get started on my remarks, I would like to take a few brief moments to thank a few people. We cannot possibly thank everyone for all the work they did to make this year such a resounding success. It took a lot of dedication and effort by everyone here, everyone, and many people who are not present but who care deeply about this school. Special thanks go out to Deidre and Derek Sr. for the annual fund leadership, and to Derek for his years of service on the board. On that note, I'd like to call Brian Loeffler, chair of the Vermont Commons School Board of Trustees, to the podium to say a few words.
From time to time, someone comes along in our VCS community who really goes above and beyond in terms of supporting our school. Today, we'd like to take a moment to thank 2 such people, Derek and Deidre Sr. Derek and Deidre seem to have boundless time and energy to spend in helping our school. As Dexter said, they co-chaired the annual fund for the past 2 years. Derek was a founding member of the Community Engagement Committee, which is part of our strategic plan. It's a pillar of our strategic plan. Derek has been an integral part of the Marketing Committee, and he's also served on the Board of Trustees with me for the past 3 years. To Derek and Deidre, I know you did all this work without expecting anything in return, but please know that your efforts have not gone unnoticed, and the school is in a better place as a direct result of your efforts. I would like to thank you for all that you've done for VCS. Can you come up, please?
Thank you, Brian. I would also like to extend thanks to the PAX leaders, Jen Oldham, Latricia Gibbs, and Holly Morehouse. There's going to be a lot, so we'll give big applause in a second. The Buildings and Ground Committee volunteers who've gotten this summer's building project off the ground, and I literally mean if you haven't looked out the windows, off the ground. Joe Carrera, George Starbuck, Craig Heindel, Suzanne Mantegna, Jeff Jackson, Matt Sargent, and Bradley Maderick. The Development Committee, who've striven to find the funds for it, George Starbuck, Andrew Furch, Mary Hamilton, and Jill Strawbridge. The Marketing Committee parent volunteers who found 100 ingenious ways to spread the word on this astounding place, Latricia Gibbs, Derek Sr., Margot Barch, and Robert Lair. And the countless others who serve often in the background, from sports to Model UN, the play, and everywhere else. And not to be forgotten, thank you to each and every one of you who have contributed to the campaign for arts and science. We still have a way to go, but thanks to your incredible enthusiasm and generosity, we are happy to announce that this week we have, and again, if you haven't noticed it, broken ground. Take a look before you depart. There's not much of the backyard left, or at least it doesn't look like it once did in a good way. Would Brian Leffler, Chair of the Board of Trustees, George Starbuck, Head of the Building Project Site Committee, and Andrew Furch, Leader of the Capital Campaign Development Committee, come to the stage? George is back there. I see. There we go.
There it is at the bottom.
Thank you. It's time for this. Gentlemen, on behalf of the Vermont Commons School community, I thank you for your incredible leadership on getting this building project off the ground. At this time, we also would like to thank the Graduation Committee for planning this event, RETN for filming us today, and Gardenside Nursery for the donation of the lovely plants. Very special thanks to our faculty for their countless hours above and beyond their selfless service of educating and mentoring young people. Faculty, you are the very essence of our school and all that makes it great. We appreciate all that you do. We could stand and applaud you for an hour and it wouldn't be enough time. I'm very pleased to be in the presence of two of my predecessors, Dr. Skiff, whom you've already had the pleasure of meeting, and Mr. Peter Gilmore, who made the journey back to Vermont to join us. Gentlemen, a heartfelt welcome and gratitude for the community which you worked so tirelessly to create and sustain. Lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the parents of the class of 2015. Please stand. For the extra job you took to make the tuition, the seemingly millions of miles you have driven to get here, the cars you have provided so that you wouldn't have to drive here, the rainstorms you have endured on the sidelines, the trust in us you exhibited in the toughest of times, and of course, the undying support you have given all of us and all of your children. We thank you. Today marks the culmination of that challenging and wonderful year in which, to quote the old adage, your senior must fire you as manager and hire you as consultant. But I'm also reminded of a saying from the Dagbani people in West Africa who say that when a parent becomes obsolete, a culture perishes. On behalf of everyone of us up here, graduate and faculty, and certainly all of the community alike, I offer you thanks and praise. All right, seniors, how you doing? Seniors, graduates, take a breath. Take a pause right now. Look around. Take it in. This is that moment that you have heard so much about and waited for, so don't let it rush by. They're all staring at you. You can stare right back at them. Take it in for a moment. It's always good to take pause at those precious moments in life. Okay, I have a few words for you. Sadly, my eyes are to the point where I'm going to need my glasses, I think. When Samuel J. Crowther was 12 years old, his village of Osogun, in what is now western Nigeria, was raided by Muslim slavers who took Ajayi and several others hostage. By this point, and now we're speaking of 1821, the historic internal slave trade in Africa had long since shifted its attention to the coasts, and so his captors quickly sold him to a Portuguese slaving enterprise that put him aboard a boat on the Niger River bound southwards towards the Gulf of Guinea on the Atlantic coast. The British Empire, however, having abolished slavery everywhere, now took the liberty of patrolling the West African coastline in search of slavers to arrest, slaving vessels to impound, and slaves to liberate. For Ajayi, this was seemingly good timing, as prior to the Portuguese ship ever making it downriver, a British picket discovered the Portuguese, overtook their ship, and transferred the chains from slaves to slavers. Again, this ought to have been a good day for our protagonist. However, British policy was such that all those liberated from slavery were to be transported to the recently established British colony of Sierra Leone, a 1,500-mile distance from where Ajayi was first freed. The sea voyage took 6 weeks, during which 70% of those who had been liberated by the British perished due to conditions as wretched as the infamous Middle Passage. Rough seas, unpredictable weather, and treacherous current. The fact that the British picket was not carrying sufficient food or water for the 200 liberated slaves, and the impossibly cramped quarters make the unspeakable loss of life, tragically, not surprising. The shocking aspect of this tale is that the British shipmen did not, upon freeing the hostages from the Portuguese, simply let them right back out onto Nigerian soil at that very moment. Instead, the dominant British agenda at this point was to redeem Africans from what they believed was a fallen state by converting them to Christianity, with Sierra Leone serving as the nexus for all such activity on the continent. We may never know just how many hundreds of thousands or even millions of Africans lost their lives on the way to, as well as once in, Sierra Leone. For young Ajayi, it was rescue from one captivity only to be yoked under another European scheme for Africans. Somehow, however, Ajayi survived. Indeed, despite all odds, he thrived, for he is today known in the historical records as the Most Reverend Samuel Ajayi Crowther, first Anglican Bishop of Nigeria, ordained at Canterbury Cathedral, holder of a doctorate of divinity from Oxford University, inventor of the Yoruba language and much of the Yoruba identity, first translator of the Christian Bible into Yoruba, and one of the most influential Nigerians in that country's modern history. Given that there are significantly more Nigerians than Russians today, Crowther's influence on global history cannot be understated. There are two deductions I would draw from the story of Bishop Crowther, and they are as follows. Number one, there was no magical time when all was right in the world. So don't look at the face of today's challenging circumstances and think you've got a tougher one to work with than those who've come before. Two, make lemonade, engage, do the work that's needed. It's difficult these days to get through a 24-hour period without hearing a new pronouncement about the fate of the world's ecological systems due to human impact, new territory won, and horrible deeds carried out by ISIS, or senseless tragedies on the roads not so far from here. As we all know, there is so very much news that arrives and departs more quickly than we have time to process, such that it becomes easy to develop a very bleak outlook on the world. But keep in mind that, without diminishing or discrediting an ounce of today's difficulties, Samuel J. Crowther's time and his own personal experiences cannot have been any less difficult or sad. For those being taken into slavery, recaptured, and brought to Sierra Leone, 1821 must have seemed the end of the world. In the same way that if we lend ourselves to despair, today's circumstances can seem tragic enough to overwhelm. But this is precisely the tremendous risk that Crowther cautions us against through his own actions over the course of his life. We must forbid ourselves from becoming overwhelmed. We must forbid ourselves to despair. Were Crowther to have despaired, would he have accomplished so very much? Would he have constructed an identity so essential to notions of Africanity that it sits at the forefront of defining global constructions of blackness? Would he have constructed the foundations of a religious presence that is meaningful to so very many people in Nigeria? Would he have made his way back years later to Nigeria, successfully and happily reuniting with his mother? Think of what would have been lost for Crowther if he had indulged in a life ruled by despair, despite reasonable justifications for doing exactly so. And what would he have gained by despairing? Indeed, what at all does despair accomplish? Crowther, looking around at challenges that must have been relatively equal in his time to those we face today, chose a different path. He took lemons and he made lemonade. He got to Sierra Leone, took advantage of the opportunity to go to school, learned everything he could, and networked extensively with both British and recaptive community members. From the British, he set on the path to ordination and academia. From his fellow recaptives, those who'd survived similarly harrowing circumstances, he found experiences in common and created a sense of shared identity and language, and in his documenting thereof, created Yoruba. Crowther didn't get daunted, but rather, in precisely the same fashion as we encourage every member of our community to do through our mission, he engaged. Crowther's artistry and genius was to recognize the work that needed to be done and to get down to it. This, then, is the second lesson we learn from Crowther. Don't allow despair. Don't get daunted. But rather, take whatever you have. Make use of your own grit and the talent and capacity to be coaxed of those around you, and get to it. There is indeed so very much to be done in this life that the world can't afford for you not to find your talent, passion, voice, inclination, and capacity, and use them for the better. So very many schools out there laud academic excellence, but you are of a product of an institution that takes academic excellence for granted. Of course you do academic excellence. Of course you do that work here through your great good fortune of being able to study with the people behind and next to me. That is such a simple fact of a Vermont Commons education that we don't expend much time making a fuss about it. Rather, at the very core of the institution of which you are a product is the underlying challenge to simplistic notions of academic excellence. So what? Or in kinder words, to what end? Here, we have answers. Be a steward of the environment. Engage the world as a citizen in all the rich meaning of that word. Create, sustain, and nurture your community. Being smart and working hard at school is merely precursor, merely preparation for a life of meaning. And from where do we draw that meaning? From collaborating with others to do good. We can't fix everything everywhere for all time, but we can, and I hope you will. No, I charge you, class of 2015, to follow Bishop Crowther's lead and do what you can, when you can, where you are. That, in and of itself, is the stuff of a good life, a better world, and the spreading of joy to those near you, a happiness that leads to happiness. Let me conclude with another Dagbani saying, we meet to part, and we part to meet. Wherever the path you begin today to walk down takes you, whatever storms you weather, whatever summits you stand upon, know that we hold you in our hearts, we wish you all the very best, and we keep a light on for you, hoping anxiously for your return and the tales of your encounters. Congratulations to the class of 2015. now it's time, the conferring of the diplomas. Today, as a special part of our ceremony, we confer an honorary diploma from Vermont Commons School on a departing member of our faculty. Sarah Soul took the opportunity to join Vermont Commons School 12 years ago in 2003. Since that time, she has had roles in admissions, and college counseling, and has carried out various other duties for the school, from helping to design the 7th grade Encounter Week trip to posting religiously to the school's Facebook page reports of our goings-on and student accomplishments. For many years, Sarah helped to market the school to the greater Burlington community, and she in turn helped to bring that community, as well as other people further afield, to Vermont Commons through her scheduling of Common Hour programs. Here, Sarah has had the chance to watch students enroll as young 7th graders and then graduate and move on to college, having a role in both the coming and the going of those students who remain through senior year. We thank Sarah for her work over the years at Vermont Commons School and wish her the best in her future, wherever it may take her. In honor of her years at Vermont Commons School, we today confer this honorary diploma on Sarah Soul.
Thank you. I'm very touched, and I dedicate this to Bob Skiff, who has given me the only 2 jobs I've ever had in my life, and to every student who I've ever had the pleasure of working with in the 12 years I've been at VCS. You do me proud. Thank you.
Now we will confer the diplomas to the 2015 graduates of Vermont Commons School. I would like to ask the graduates to come forward as I read the testimonials written by their advisors. Jamie Benson. Jamie came to us from Waterbury in 9th grade. In his 4 years, he has come to epitomize selflessness and service to others in our community, all while battling debilitating and unending health challenges. Jamie may have been the student president, but his real role was czar of kindness. Jamie made every member of our community feel like he cared deeply about them. And the thing is, he did. Jamie poured himself into making ours a more compassionate community where everyone feels welcomed. Of course, Jamie did other things too. He was our trusty first responder for every tech crisis. He was a big part of multiple Model UN trips, and he was an intrepid adventurer on several Wilderness Encounter Weeks and on the recent China trip. As a member of the National Honor Society, Jamie is no slouch on the academic side of things either. We will sorely miss his sweet smile as Jamie departs on his next adventures, which will include medical research as well as pursuing his wilderness EMT certification. Griffin Cannon. Although Griffin has only been with us for 1 year, he has managed to make it feel as if he has been a part of our Vermont Commons community since he was a wee lad. Griffin slipped easily into his role as a member of our senior class, just like a happy turtle, gracefully sliding down a muddy bank into the safe and cozy waters of his pond. He quickly earned the respect and admiration of his teachers, his classmates, and fellow students across all grades. With seeming effortlessness, Griffin took up the roles of friend, student, leader, mentor, and role model. And in so doing, he touched each one of our lives in a positive and lasting way. Griffin's interests and skills are wide-ranging, from assistant coaching the cross-country team to participating in Model UN to nearly getting arrested at a climate change rally, not really, but close, to publishing an essay proposing a global anti-piracy strategy. Griffin is a student who is not easily categorized, and this is exactly the kind of person we hope to graduate from our school. We are honored that Vermont's Commons was able to be the capstone to Griffin's high school career, and we know that he will excel at Notre Dame University and as a participant in the Naval Reserve's Officers Training Corps. Nora Hill.
Nora is receiving a naturalist certificate. The naturalist certification program is granted upon graduation for completion of an independent science project, which takes the student above and beyond our curriculum. In 2012, fresh off earning the Science Award as a 9th grader, Nora came to us looking for an opportunity to take part in an ongoing scientific research project. We were able to place her in the lab of Dr. Jason Stockwell, director of the University of Vermont's Rubenstein's Ecosystem Science Lab. Nora balanced her commitments to her academics, her athletics, and the VCS community while volunteering in the Rube Lab, learning the ecosystem design skills necessary to take a meaningful place in the research team, who was examining the role of cyanobacteria blooms in the trophic webs of Great Lakes fisheries. After Nora proved herself as a valuable teammate and collaborator, the research team decided she would be more valuable analyzing fatty acid profiles in an organic chemistry lab. Nora moved to Dr. Jana Kraft's lab and learned to use gas chromatograph mass spectrometry to build EFA profiles in Lake Champlain fish. Over the next year and a half, Nora proved again and again that she was a trusted member of the research team. Nora led a group of VCS students and faculty on a tour of Dr. Kraft's lab and was the first VCS student to go through a certification defense in the model of a graduate school thesis defense for the science department and VCS administration. Last week, she presented the results of her independent research project at the International Association for Great Lakes Research Conference. The science department is honored to present Nora Hill with only the 5th natural certificate in VCS history.
Since the day Nora entered as a 7th grader, she has exuded a passion for academics, athletics, and helping others. She has excelled in the science field, sharing countless hours in the biology labs at Vermont Commons School and the University of Vermont, ultimately earning the Distinguished Naturalist Field Certificate. As an athlete, Nora commands the volleyball court, and she has received well-deserved leadership awards, and as captain of the team, her strength and strategic planning have made for many victorious games. Importantly to note, during her 6 years here, Nora has not only been a powerhouse intellect and athlete, but has also been an extremely kind and compassionate member of our community. She has set the standard for what it means to be a student, athlete, and friend at Vermont Commons School. We know that she will share these high standards next fall at Grinnell College, where she was admitted early decision. Eli Hulse. Eli Hulse started at Vermont Commons as a spindly 8th grade lad. He quickly found his place in the math classroom, on the volleyball court, throwing a disc, and as a friend and leader to many. In his 5 years at VCS, Eli completed more than a full semester of college credits at UVM, studied multivariable calculus through MIT OpenCourseWare, sold his creations on the Apple Store, competed in the task engineering competition, led several countries at Model UN, and finished out his senior year with an internship in the court system. With his newfound love of law, please welcome me in wishing Eli well as he heads off to New York University's Stern School of Business. Congratulations. Grace Seeley. During Grace's senior send-off in April, we described the characteristics of grace that the student Grace embodies. Grace, the quality, describes the ability to persevere with optimism in the face of challenge. Over the course of her VCS career, Grace has faced challenges that few, if any, of us have experienced. Despite these formidable obstacles, Grace consistently displayed grace. An accomplished student, especially in social studies and science, Grace was welcomed into the National Honor Society and spearheaded several outreach efforts at VCS. On the volleyball team and on service-oriented encounter weeks, Grace repeatedly demonstrated her willingness to step up and act as a mentor to younger players. While most players with her experience would have been focused on their personal development, Grace always took the time to work with new players. While most people find it tough to take a leadership role with strangers, Grace consistently showed the confidence and patience to do so. Grace will be remembered as an accomplished student, but her most lasting impact on the community will be the legacy of her grace. Skidmore College is lucky to include Grace in their incoming class of 2019. McCall Udine. One of the most important lessons VCS can impart on any member of our community is that personal growth and learning go hand in hand. McCall is the embodiment of that concept, as her growth as an academic powerhouse has been matched with her emergence as a role model for every member of the community. Whether in the lab, on the trail, or above the volleyball net, McCall has grown from a ferocious learner to a confident leader. McCall has solidified her position in the pantheon of VCS volleyball all-time greats. A 2-year co-captain, a holder of multiple team records, a state champion, a 3-time statewide all-league player, and holder of both the sportsmanship and leadership awards. A member of our chapter of the National Honor Society, McCall has seized every opportunity to push herself academically. By taking Spanish and math classes at UVM, by tackling every contract honors class she could, and by becoming a formal student teacher in the science department this year. Swarthmore College has made the best decision in their 151-year history when they offered her a place next fall.
It is a tradition at Vermont Common School to confer upon each graduate a walking stick, symbolic of the journey each member of the class has taken through their time at VCS and of the trail before them. We wish to all our graduates a safe, interesting, healthy, productive, and joyous road ahead. Graduates, please stand while your advisors present you with your walking stick. And graduates, please remain standing. All others may be seated. Seniors, thank you for all you have brought us. We say goodbye knowing that you take with you the very essence of our school, our values, our spirit, and everything for which we stand. Acting on the recommendation of the faculty and with the consent of the Board of Trustees and each of you having satisfied all graduation requirements by the state of Vermont, I now declare you graduates of Vermont Common School. Please move your tassels. After the benediction and recessional, please join us for the traditional luncheon downstairs in the lunchroom. Graduates, please place your diplomas aside for a moment and recess with only your walking sticks. Afterwards, gather your parents and diplomas, both equally important, for a picture before joining the reception, and we'll do the picture right here. And now for the benediction. May you always have enough sweetness to keep you happy, enough trials to keep you strong, enough success to keep you eager, enough faith to give you peace, and enough courage to make it through each and every day.